Joining us now on the Picks for Polls podcast, we've interviewed Jelon Owens. We've also gone ahead and talked to Jalen Hoover, but we've got Lindenwood University defensive back Jordan Perry on the show. Jordan, how's it going? Thanks so much for being on here.
Hey, how's it going, man? Appreciate you having me, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for being on. I mean, I'm sure you've been super busy just getting ready for the 2022 NFL draft, but let's go ahead and let's get right into it. I mean, take us through kind of what led you to Lindenwood, because I know that after graduating high school, you originally were at Southeast Missouri State University. So why'd you transfer to Lindenwood?
Well, yeah, so originally I was at Southeast Missouri State. I know coming from a small school that you need a lot of film to make it out of small school. So I kind of had to make a business decision to leave there and come to Lindenwood and play all 4 years, which was one of the greatest decisions of my life. Man, I had a really good career there. I met some people that I'm going to have in my life for a long time. And I just had a great career there, and I enjoyed myself there.
So one of the things I think is really important, key to ask, is just when you do talk to guys in college, they kind of go from playing in high school to playing in college. The position that they always play, I feel like is a topic of conversation. I know you play defensive back, but I also think it's worth asking, did you always play defensive back throughout high school and when you were younger, or did you kind of switch positions like once you got into college?
No, that's funny that you asked. I actually play receiver all my life. I love the position, man. So I made that transition when I got to Southeast Missouri State. It was a tough transition because defensive back is one of the hardest positions out there. So it was pretty rough, but I got a really good trainer back home in St. Louis. So I kind of just put my head down and grinded it out, and I made that transition my freshman year.
So I have to ask you, because you mentioned playing receiver.
Yeah.
When you were kind of making that transition over, do you feel like there were a lot of things that you knew in terms of tendencies, technique, the way wide receivers may decide to line up that made that transition easier for you?
Oh, of course. You when you're a receiver and you're doing all those fancy and cool releases, you kind of get to understand the flow of how a receiver is going to move. So yeah, I would say that definitely helped make the transition easier.
So how do you think your time at Lindenwood has kind of shaped you as a player, both on and off the field?
My time at Lindenwood was very memorable. I grew not only as a player, but as a man. I learned so much from that coaching staff, and so much from my teammates, man. And it just made me a better person, man. And on the field, man, I excelled, and I had a great career there. So I would just say that it just made me a better man and a better player. And I came out with a degree as well, 2 degrees. I got my master's in business administration.
Yeah, congrats on the 2 degrees, man. I know that's certainly not easy, but what was the most memorable moment in your college career at Lindenwood?
That's rough, man. We had so many good moments. But I would want to say my most memorable moment was I blocked the field goal, and I took the game into overtime, and I deflected the pass in overtime, and we won our first conference championship. So I would say that was the most memorable moment.
What year was that you blocked the field goal and you guys won the conference championship?
In 2019.
Awesome. Okay, so
Yeah.
kind of recent, but how do you describe your overall style of play as a defensive back? And then as a follow-up, are there any, NFL DBs that you model your game after?
I'm a long corner. I would say I model my game after a lot of guys. Like, I look at a lot of people. I look at all the elite. I take my game from pretty much. I can learn from anybody. I mean, it could be somebody even still in college. I try to take bits and pieces of everybody. I just don't stick to one person. But I would say I'm a long corner. I could play um, any coverage, one, two, three, or four. It doesn't really matter. I won't say I'm a man or just a zone corner. Um, I feel like I could do it all, So I feel like that'll really help me because you don't have to try to fit me into a scheme. I could play pretty much in any scheme. I don't feel like I have any weaknesses there. But yeah, I would say that I take my game after pretty much anybody. I feel like I can learn from anybody.
So, kind of speaking of that, right, in terms of you could learn from anybody, do you see yourself, did you play both inside and outside in college, or were you just exclusively playing one or the other?
They moved me into the slot when there were like a better receiver in the slot. They would move me to the slot, and I go cover some of the slot, so I could play in the slot and I could play outside. It really doesn't matter. Uh, I could play both.
Awesome. So, what challenges have you overcome to get to where you are? And then what do you think is going to be a challenge moving forward?
Um, I would just say, um, I was pretty much under recruited in high school, so that I feel like that was pretty much a challenge. Um, Not having that many offers coming out of high school, so that was one of my biggest challenges. And then I just feel like coming going forward, I'm still um, under. I'm still under the spotlight. Not many people know my name and stuff like that. So uh, I'm not very well known, but um, I could play football at an elite level. So I feel like my challenge is just coming from a small school. But going forward, I feel like at my pro day, whoever takes a chance on me is going to be getting a good one.
Do you look at not getting a lot of offers out of high school? Is that a kind of motivation piece for you? Do you play with a chip on your shoulder as a result of that?
I won't say that because I feel like uh, I could play with anybody, so I don't look at it as being a chip on my shoulder. I just feel that uh, it's just something that you gotta deal with. It's just life. You know what I'm saying? There was a multitude of reasons why I was under recruited, but I don't look at it as a chip on my shoulder because I feel like I can play with anyone. A lot of people that are under recruited or come from small schools feel like, hey, they need to, they gotta play with this big chip on their shoulder. I don't feel that way because I feel like I could play with anybody. FBS, FCS. I feel like I could play with anybody.
So that's, a real good mentality to have. But what do you think is going to be a big transition kind of going from Lindenwood to the NFL?
Obviously, just the speed. Everybody's gonna be elite. At the Division 2 level. There's definitely elite receivers, but going to the NFL, everyone is going to be elite. So that's just the biggest transition. Is just the speed and just the route running. Just everything is going to be better. But I feel like that I'm elite, so I feel like I could be able to compete with anyone.
So, is there any particular, I want to say, teammate or coach throughout your college career that just had a big impact on you? And then I think the same goes for the high school level too. Was there any teammate or coach that you developed this unbreakable bond with?
That's the thing. In high school, I transferred uh, to three different high schools, so it's kind of hard to say if I really built any special relationships in high school. But in college, man, I would definitely say my head coach, Jed Stugard, and my defensive coordinator, Coach I. Um, just because they just helped mold me as a man throughout my 4 years there. They really look after me, and they did anything that to help me, and they just really just look after me, man. And I truly appreciate them for having my back through rough times in my life, and just helping me as a player and believing in me and allowing me to be a 4 year starter for the program.
Well, that's awesome. It certainly sounds like you've got this unbreakable bond with them. But what's your daily routine like right now? I mean, who are you training with? Is there anyone else that, do you have like a personal trainer? And then what are you trying to accomplish over the next couple months?
Yeah, I'm currently down here in Miami. I'm training with Pete Bomarito. Um, and currently, like, we just get up every day. I get up around like 7, head to the facility each day, and we pretty much is working on 40 work and all the DB specific work and pro agility and vertical and broad jump, and just keeping my body in shape and pretty much working on every number, getting every number down. Um, and what did you? I'm sorry, I forgot the second part of the question.
Yeah, I mean, just what do you hope to accomplish over the next couple months as we are like 10 or 11 weeks away from the 2022 NFL draft?
So the main thing I'm trying to accomplish is just improving on every number. As far as my 40 work, my broad, so just getting every number down right now. That's my main focus, and just getting ready for my pro day to prove to the scouts that I belong with those bigger time athlete. I mean, bigger time schools that I could play, and I could meet all the measurables.
So it's interesting because the NFL continues to kind of become a positionless game. And I think certainly playing that cornerback position, one of the things you need to have is versatility, which I know you mentioned like you have it because you played both inside as a slot corner. You've also played out there outside on the boundaries. But kind of what do you see your role being in the NFL in terms of fitting into these modern day defenses as a cornerback?
Um, Honestly, whatever role they give me, I'm honestly going to do it. But I honestly feel like I could be effective in the slot. I actually feel more comfortable in the slot, even though I didn't play there as much. But I honestly feel more comfortable because I'm long. I feel I can guard, some of those shiftier guys. But honestly, whatever defenses, uh, whatever scheme that teams are running, I feel like I can fit in. Like I said, it don't matter if it's 1, 2, 3, or 4. I feel like I can play in any of those schemes.
So this next one's specific to the Chicago Bears, but the Bears are looking for a cornerback to pair with their presumptive cornerback Jalen Johnson this offseason. So
Yeah.
what should a passionate fan base that knows how to evaluate defensive backs, that certainly knows and understands defense, because it's pretty much all the Bears are known for, what do you think they should know about Jordan Perry?
What you should know about me, man, is I'm a prototype corner, and I take I take pride in little things, and one of the little things is technique, man. I take pride in my technique. Uh, you could just see in the past playoffs and even in the Super Bowl, a lot of people are just getting beat just because the little things, just the little technique, not looking back for the ball, not moving their feet at the line or lunging at the line. You know what I'm saying? So I just take pride in technique, not being too high in my stance and stuff like that. So just little things is what's gonna help me separate myself from other DBs. So just what Bears fans should know about me, man, is I'm gonna come out there and I'm gonna work hard and I'm gonna compete and I'm gonna execute my technique and compete hard, and you're gonna get a dog about me.
So you mentioned the word technique a couple times there. How do you think your technique has improved just over the years as a DB?
Like I said, I got a trainer back at home. He trains many elite athletes coming out of St. Louis, so I pretty much just trusting him. So just at the DB position, there's all different types of techniques. Whether you're doing motor mirror, either you're doing just mirror or my off man technique. It just all about repetition and being consistent at the position. So that's just I just feel like I've been consistent each and every time I've been out there on the field.
So, how do you think the role of a defensive back has just changed over the years in football? Especially just knowing that the NFL continues to develop into a more pass happy offense. And so teams are just looking for those longer and those lengthier cornerbacks that can hold up in pass coverage for a longer time than we're traditionally used to seeing.
Well, yeah, I feel well. Everybody knows that the defensive back is probably one of the hardest positions on the field. Um, I feel like it has become an offensive league, and that they make it hard for defensive backs, extremely hard. But I feel like um, your technique could take you a long way. I feel like it all comes back to technique. If you don't play the game with technique, it's going to be hard for you, anyways. I feel like a lot of guys try to rely on their athleticism, and I feel like me, I'm opposite of that. You got to play with technique. You got to understand um, football situations, down the distances. Like I remember one play in the Chiefs game, it was like 3rd and 20, and the guy was pressed man. Like, why would you press on 3rd and 20? And just little things like that, you can just put yourself in better situations just by understanding football and just playing with great technique.
So, I know earlier you kind of mentioned how, hey, listen, there's a lot of like, I can learn from pretty much anybody.
Yeah.
Growing up, were there any specific NFL players like wide receivers? Because I know you mentioned you played wide receiver and even defensive backs that, you really looked up to.
I looked up to Deshaun Jackson and Chad Ochocinco, man. Just because just the speed of the game that they play at, they were just so fast, running past everybody. Especially Deshaun Jackson, man, he's a blazer, and I like the way Ocho, his feet at the line is just crazy. So yeah, those are my two favorite.
Yeah, those two I remember growing up were like you needed to play. I would always play with those guys in Madden just because I personally love the way that they always used to play the highlight reels they used to produce. But, are there any DBs that have gone through the NFL draft process that, you've talked to, and do you lean on those guys for advice?
You said any DBs?
Yeah, so like any defensive backs that have kind of already been through the NFL draft process and are in the league that you talk to for advice.
I talked to Jalen Owens. He's actually a small school kid out of Missouri Western. He played for the Houston Texans. He pretty much just said, well, he was telling me about just his process about making it to the league and just his motivation. And he pretty much just said, just keep your head down and keep grinding, man, and just try to improve each and every number and how important pro day was and stuff like that. And I also talked to Pierre Desir. He's been through the process as well. He's actually a Lindenwood alumni, and he always gives me great advice and just telling me to stay focused and just always bet on yourself because that's the most important thing. Nobody's gonna believe in you unless you believe in yourself first. So yeah.
So I have to ask you, kind of what other advice has Pierre Desir given you being a Lindenwood alum? Because I know that, he played for current Bears head coach Matt Eberflus for like, I think 2 seasons when he was in Indianapolis.
Pretty much he hasn't we haven't talked recently, but the times that we have talked, we just talked pretty much about the game of football and just um how we just talked about the position and how important it was to take calculated risk at the position and stuff like that. But as far as the process, he pretty much just it was pretty brief. He pretty much just told me to stay focused and just continue to grind and keep pushing.
So, last one for you before we get you out of here. And this is a non football related question, but what's your life like, or what do you like to do outside of football, I should say?
Uh, You still there? I cut out.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, outside of football, man, I just like to chill with my family and friends. I'm very family oriented. I'd love to just I love traveling. I love going on family vacations and stuff like that. I'm a family guy, homebody. So that's what I like doing outside of football, honestly.
That's awesome. So before we get you out of here, where can people just continue to keep up with you and, follow you on social media?
You can follow me on Twitter at underscore Jordan Legacy and Instagram at um, J Perry underscore 6.
That's awesome. I think I followed you on Twitter earlier today. I know we've been texting back and forth, but thanks so much for being on the show. Certainly be sure to keep in touch, and best of luck to you over the next couple of weeks
Th-
next couple of months, I should say, with the NFL draft process.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jordan.